welcome to All Things Melanin TV. We're your hosts. I'm Shelby,
And I'm Erica.
and we're just so excited to have you here. So, for our first inaugural episode, we really want to talk about how we started our brand, how we built it, and kind of where it all originated from. I feel like a lot of times God will give us a purpose, or we'll have a dream or a vision, and we just won't really know where to start. And so, we want to share our journey in our brand in hopes that it'll give you that little push that you may need. But before we can tell you about that, I feel like, friend, we got to take them back.
Yes.
We got to take them back to like how we met,
Yes.
and all that good stuff. So you want to tell the fam?
It was a sunny morning. No,
I'm
I'm kidding.
screaming.
Yes, how we met. So Shelby and I are actual real friends first before any of this YouTube stuff. So Shelby and I met at a job we both used to work at. We no longer work there anymore, and we really feel like the only reason we worked there was to meet. If you know, you know. But we met at work. It was a marketing company, which now that I look back on it, that was such a blessing because what we learned there, we incorporate that with how we started in building this brand.
Mhm.
But I remember one day I was in training and I was like, oh, who is this other black girl? But I'm very quiet and reserved to myself. If I don't know you, I'm looking at you, but I ain't saying nothing. She comes right up to my little cubicle and just starts talking to me. And ever since then, we became really, really close. And that has been what, almost 10 years?
Mhm.
Like, wow.
That's a long time.
But yes, we met at work. And like I said, I feel like the purpose of us crossing paths there was not
Mhm.
only to learn these marketing skills that we incorporate in our brand,
Mhm.
but also for a lifelong friendship. Like, that's my girl. That's my dog.
Right. And then after that, we just started because I low key kind of made Erica be my friend. But it's probably one of the best decisions she's made in her life. And so after that, we started like doing things together. We started like, going to comedy shows, going to concerts, and just kind of hanging out. And I remember we went to this event one night and I had this thought. And it's so interesting because I had been praying for anybody that came into my life that was a friend, that we were aligned and that we could, just be an all around friend. But I had this like nagging feeling, and I never told Erica this, that we were supposed to do something together. But I'm the type of person, like, if I don't know what it is, like, I'm not going to bring it up. And so we were at this event, and after the event, we were, talking and debriefing and just talking about it. Erica was dead in my face, and she was like, "Friend, I think we're supposed to do something together, but I don't know what it is." And I
Yeah.
said, "I think that too." And I don't know either, but like, let's pray on it. Let's think about it. And so this is probably like springish 2017.
Mhm.
And so at this point, we had started going to Essence Fest together. If you've never been, I encourage you to go. It is literally a space for us, by us, that is just black girl, black boy, just black people joy in general. And so one thing about Essence Fest that I love, in addition to it being for us, by us, is that there are so many inspiring panels, that there are so many inspiring vendors, black owned vendors. There are parties, there are concerts, there are all the things. But particularly when we were listening to some of the panels and we were interacting, like, with a lot of the people there in the network, it's like, this is gonna sound like a little bit cliche, but it's almost like something was kind of like born inside of us, and it kind of clicked. And I was like, friend, I don't know what we're supposed to do together, but I actually have an idea. And Erica was like, I have ideas too. So, we finished our Essence Fest. We had a really good time. We came back, was literally in her mom's house in her theater room. And literally that's kind of how like the wheels and the thoughts for All Things Melanin, kind of started.
Yeah, because we knew we both had a passion for media, first off.
Right.
So mine specifically was production, behind the scenes, but also any way to be creative
Mhm.
through marketing, design, things like that. And so we remember saying, like, okay, these jobs are not hiring us. Like, BET ain't calling us right now and saying, hey, come work for us. So we were like, why don't we create our own lane and be able to produce and put out our own media content? But then also, we didn't really see two black girls like us
Yeah.
talking about the things that we're talking about, making sure that it is faith based and that we are sharing our real stories of what we're going through right now and things like that. So the fact that we didn't see people our age doing that at the time, we were like, well, why don't we just start it ourselves and just
Right.
do it how we want to do it. So like she said, we made up this whole concept at my mama's house. And we came up with the name. Remember, we
Mhm.
had like all these different options of names, and we were like, well, what do we actually want to do with this brand? And I think that's important when you're starting something. Have a goal of what you actually want
Mhm.
to do. Don't look at everybody else and what they're doing and what you think you should be doing.
Yeah.
Do what you feel like you want to do. So our baseline was encouraging people,
Mhm.
inspiring people, motivating people, because we know how hard it is to even start something or put something out there. Or
Right.
you might be a little scared because maybe you've been in the same career for years and you're
Yeah.
like, well, people gonna look at me funny if I come out singing with a guitar. But if that's your passion,
Right.
then do it. So we made sure that that's our baseline and our goal of starting this brand.
And I would also like to just piggyback off what you said, friend. And as we were starting it, I think one reason that it has worked for us is that Erica and I, we are both creators. We are both, have a marketing background. We play to each other's strengths. So kind of like Erica said, Erica is really creative. The way that she sees design is crazy because I don't see none of that. Erica has designed our website. She does all of our branding, our logos, not our logos, but all of our branding, all of our just anything that you see the design wise she does. She is also our treasurer, and she is the realist of our relationship because I am not. And then on the other side, I see creativity as more of like strategy and planning, but also writing, and doing features and kind of content creation and social media. And so I say that to say that like whatever you're passionate about or whatever you want to do, like look and see what you are naturally good at or whatever you want to pursue your dreams in. And then go look and see what, if there's somebody that's doing what you want to do, go and see what they're doing. Don't copy them because you'll never be able to have their sauce, but get inspiration and ideas from them. I think another thing, friend, that makes us a little bit different is that Erica and I, although we are building this brand from scratch and we've started our brand, we still work our 9 to 5s.
Mhm.
We still clock in
Mhm.
at 8 a.m. and clock in at and clock out at 5 o'clock. So I think the other thing that inspired us that we don't really talk about is that a lot of times when we see people talking about their success, they're talking about the success that they've achieved, and that's great. But like, we really also wanted to be able to document our journey because we know that a lot of people can relate to being multifaceted creatives. You don't just have to be one thing, you can be more than one thing. And I think that's another thing that our brand represents. That's a little bit different. And also, when we started, I know for me, I was really early in my career, and we kind of built this plane as we flew. Which in theory probably isn't good, but I think that you have to. I think the hardest thing to do is to start and to put the opinions of others behind you. I think what's made it a little bit easier is that Eric and I have had each other to fall back on and to do it together. So when we launched our brand, we started with a website,
Mhm.
a blog, and social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And when we first started, I think we just tried to do everything. And I think we pushed ourselves to the limit. And I think the beauty in us having each other is that we've been able to do pulse checks and kind of uh, just see, okay, like what are we doing well and what aren't we doing well. So, friend, like, what do you think is something that we've had to learn and grow through, that we've been able to, turn into a positive?
Yeah, I think it was more so about like finding our niche, like what
Mm-hmm.
works for us. Kind of like what you said, we started with doing everything. Like we want to do YouTube, we want to do a website, we want to do Twitter, we want to do this, we want to do that.
Right.
But how is that going to confuse the audience? And that's important when you're starting a brand. My marketing brain is working right now, and it's saying that like you have to have who is your audience and who are you pinpointing. So when we first started, it was Black women. What is the melanin part of the brand. However, we were like, well, all women can be multifaceted. And then also, we decided that we wanted to make this a platform where not only we're encouraging people, but we're also putting people light on what others are doing, other
Yeah.
creatives. So if you are writing a book, we would write up articles about what your book is about and give you a space on our platform to be recognized. Just like we said in the beginning, when we started this, it was because certain networks that we dreamed of working with weren't calling us, so we just created our own platform. So it's that kind of thing, like paying it forward,
Mhm.
and finding our niche. So we found that was kind of how we pivoted was making sure that how are we being of use to our viewers and our supporters. And so that's one of the things. So I think that plays well into our vision and how we pivoted, and how
Mm-hmm.
we found that niche and kind of narrowed it down a little bit to where you can nurture that thing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I think over the years, the other thing that has helped us is that instead of just trying to be everything to everyone,
Yeah.
I think internally we had to shift. So Eric and I would just split duties like right down the middle. And one thing that has worked for us is okay, like Erica, like for instance, Erica's really good in creative and design. So it didn't make sense for me to be designing the website or design any of our graphics because I don't like doing it. And Erica's good at it, so she took over that portion. Whereas I really like writing, so I took over the features and the writing. And I think the other thing that we've had to learn is we've had to pay attention to what our melanin fan actually likes and what they resonated with. So, for
Mhm.
instance, when we started off in 2017, we did not have a podcast.
Mhm.
We launched our podcast in like 2018, 2019. We didn't know anything about a podcast, but it has been one of the best things that we have done because it's allowed us to really have the open, honest, and transparent conversations we like to have, but also just help people to feel heard and seen, and just be realistic and down to earth. Like me and Erica, like I said, we are homegirls in real life. We kiki in real life.
Yeah.
We childish together in real life. And so for us, I've realized that everybody doesn't get to experience that sisterhood that we do. And so one of our hopes is that when you come across our platform, that you feel the sisterhood, that you feel the love, and that
Mhm.
you feel like, okay, like they had this experience. I'm not alone. Or they
Mhm.
did it, so I can do it.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what All Things Melanin is about. And I think that as we've had to pivot, sometimes it has been frustrating.
Yes.
Sometimes, it has been super frustrating, but I think the beauty is we've been able to just kind of take a pause, reset, and do what we, have come to do. I think that we've seen really good success as we, changed up our social media tactics and like what we share and just doing a combination of things from like motivational content,
Mhm.
inspirational content, just like Erica said, but also like highlighting people.
Yeah.
So that's been a beautiful thing. And also just doing our podcast, we've had to pivot. We currently don't live in the same city and we used to record together
Mhm.
in person. But then we had to switch to doing it virtually, and that wasn't necessarily a big deal, but just having the ability to pivot. And I
Yeah.
say that because when you start a brand or you build a brand, like I think you have to be open to pivoting. I think
Mhm.
you have to be open to feedback. I
Yeah.
think you have to be open to doing whatever you feel like your audience needs or wants if it's reasonable, because every day is not going to be the same. But also, you grow and evolve as your
Yes.
brand grows and evolves, because we're not the girls that we were um,
Mhm.
when we started in 2017.
And that's growth. And so, which is why we have the plants in the background.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. So, one thing I want to add to that about that brings me to the takeaway point that we were going to talk about is when you do pivot and you do grow, it's okay to realize that when you started something, well, this wasn't my original idea. Well, that's okay, because if you're like me, you overthink and you think things all the way through before you even start. But when you actually start, the road might take you left and you thought you were going to go right, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. And so, like
Mm.
Shelby said, just embrace that change, the pivot, or like you said, we didn't have the idea of a podcast when we started. And we love doing our podcast, and that's where we get most of our engagement from. However, it's okay to like go with the flow sometimes when you're building your
Mm.
brand, because you never know where your creativity is going to take you. And that's the thing, just never stop being creative and never stop, because this journey, nobody, that's another thing we wanted to highlight, is that this journey is not for the weak. It may look cute and glamorous on
Right.
Instagram, but very seldom do you hear people say that this is a lifelong journey. You may think that people are just becoming overnight successes, and that's not a real thing. It may happen rarely for some people, but for us, we've been at this for years, several years.
Yeah.
And so I would just encourage you, or that would be my takeaway too, to encourage myself, is
Yeah.
that it is okay that things change and we have to pivot, but and ultimately that's where it's meant to be. That's what I feel like.
I love that, friend, and that's so true. I think like my takeaway slash like words of encouragement would be to be very clear on like what your why is and like why do you want to do it? Because I think that a lot of times we start things and we start journeys and we're so excited, but if we do not get the reaction or the feedback or the followers or whatever we're seeking right off the back, then that can be really frustrating.
Mhm.
So I think just being very clear on why you're doing this and putting a plan into place and being dedicated and consistent, because consistency is going to win every single time. If you'll
Yes.
notice, sometimes people that get jobs or opportunities are not always the best.
Mhm.
They're not always the smartest, sadly, and they don't necessarily always have the skills, but they're the people that were consistent and kept going until they got that one person. My other takeaway would be is that like you never know who's watching you. You
Right.
never know who's interacting with your content. I think it's like I said, important to be consistent, to be dedicated, and to show up because you just need one yes from God
Right.
for your brand or your business to take over. So I would just definitely say be consistent, know your why, but also I think don't forget to have fun
Yeah.
and remember why you're doing it.
Yes,
That's
I love
mine.
that. So I just wanted to the last thing I will say that Shelby and I do for starting our brand is we prayed over it. That is the number one thing for Shelby and I is like we felt like it was something we were supposed to do, but
Hmm.
then we took it to God. And I think that's one of the basis of our entire brand is faith, and we
Right.
share our faith walk. We're not perfect, but we share our belief, and that's one of the things, even before we press record on this video, we prayed. And so
Right.
that's very important for us and that provides us strength to keep going in the faith and things like that. So we hope that we encouraged you to start your brand or keep going with your brand, put that idea out there, switch it up, pivot, whatever you have to do. We're out here doing it too. So be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. What
Yes.
do people be saying?
And tell a friend.
Tell a friend. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next video.
Bye.
Bye.